I'd like to call this meeting of the Lakota Board of Education to order. Jenny, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Casper?
Here.
Mr. Lovell?
Here.
Mrs. O'Connor?
Here.
Mr. Parnell?
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Here. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? All motion. A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Jenny, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. Parnell?
Yes.
Mr. Lovell?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Yes. Welcome everyone who came out in the monsoon this evening and made it through the flooded roads of Westchester and Liberty. This will actually be our last meeting in this location. We're actually going to be moving our meeting over to Plains Junior School as we discussed at our last meeting. So I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that so they could go to the new location at the next meeting. And with that, I'll pass to Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Just a couple quick items all related to our students. Very proud of two of our kids who led a nationwide Twitter chat last week. Nina Emeraldi and Landon Meter, both one from West, one from East. The numbers came back and their total reach was over 119,000.
Wow.
So kudos to those kids for putting it together and putting all that work in, and also to Lauren and Betsy who helped put that out. So congratulations to Nina and Landon. Also, breaking good news too, we have at least 2 student groups that will be representing Lakota at next year's OSBA conference. So we're working on getting a 3rd or 4th group involved. So we have at least 2 groups that are going. And then our military commitment ceremony, our first one is this Thursday at 7 p.m. at East Freshman. So hope everybody can attend that. We're looking forward to recognizing 33 of our students that are going into one of the service academies or to one of the branches. So very excited about that. But that's all I had this evening.
Thank you. Mrs. Logan?
Yes, I have, and it will not take long. Last meeting, when we talked about the enrollment center move, one of the questions that was brought up was staffing of the enrollment center, and I wanted to, and I said during my closing comments that I would go ahead and address that. So I put something together tonight. I'll go ahead and go over it. So as far as the staffing goes, we are operating right now with the treasurer's office and the enrollment center and /EMIS with 2.2 full-time equivalencies, FTEs, less than what we had in 2011 when I came. I came in January of 2011. And that equates to more than $150,000 in less savings. Less staff means savings in dollars spent. There's also one additional position indirectly that was in the technology department when we switched over to fiscal software with the state. There was actually a position that was riffed upstairs in the technology department that we have not restored as well. And then additionally, we added the EMIS/enrollment center to the treasurer's office responsibility, and we have not added staff. So EMIS was actually part of the technology department prior to 2013. When that person, the EMIS coordinator, took a position somewhere else, when they left, we decided that, hey, here's an opportunity. EMIS tracks all of the data surrounding student data, financial data, and staff data. So because 2 of the 3 of those data points had to do with the treasurer's department, it was absorbed into the responsibility that I oversee. in 2014 that happened. Then in 2015 is when EMIS and the Enrollment Center, it made sense to merge those two and to operate that center with EMIS and enrollment. So that's been going on for 3 full years. And the next sheet is just, it's the organizational chart to show where all of the different positions are and how I came up with the 2.2 less. So there's an executive secretary position that is unfilled. That's 1 FTE. The director of finance is a 0.8 position, so that's the 0.2. And then when you look at the fiscal office specialist, there used to be 8, and now we're down to 7. So that's where we get the 2.2. Also, I mentioned that EMIS is now part of the responsibility of the treasurer's office. And I thought for historical purposes that we could kind of go back and look. So we used to only have 4 reporting periods during the year. And you might recall that we actually counted students that first full week in October, statewide. That's when we counted kids. Now we count them every day. So we have gone from 4 reporting periods to 28 during the year. And this is something that the Ohio Department of Education requires of every school district. So it's just kind of gotten out of control. Efficiency improvements. The other thing that I wanted to mention is when we look at going from 4 to 28 different reporting periods, there's additional work required in that. So to stay with the same amount of staff, you have to look for how can we be more efficient? How can we do things with the current number of staff so that we don't have to increase? So I listed some items here to mention, and I'll just pick out a few. The Student Enrollment Center, we are going to electronic enrollment. We've moved that electronic enrollment to all employee benefits is done electronically now. Our requisition approval is online. People can approve them from their cell phones. We also have a dashboard project with special education department specifically where we track all of our students to make sure that we're meeting all the requirements so that we are getting all the funding associated with that. And then we've also put in a help desk in our budgetary department that tracks the questions that we get. We get questions from the department, from our vendors, and we log all of that into a system. So now we have some data points to see areas where we need to improve and frequently ask questions. Then return on investment, I just mentioned, I just added a few things here. Credibility, I think one of the things that we'll all agree to is that we've worked really hard to restore some credibility with the district on the financial side. And the past 4 years, we have gotten the Auditor of State Award. The customer service I mentioned with the data points for improvement, and then the increased state support. And this deals directly with the enrollment / EMIS department. Prior to that coming internally into the treasurer's office, we were not filing something called catastrophic filings. And so what happens is if you have students with very, very severe needs, you can file this report with the state and they will give you additional dollars to help offset those costs. And since we started doing that, that's $1.5 million in additional revenue that we've brought in because we're filing those reports now. We're taking additional time and doing that. So in summary, we're down in total number of staff. The responsibility, accountability continues to increase. We continue to look for efficiencies so we don't have to increase staff. And we continue to look for ways to quantify the returns on investment to our our community. So I hope I've answered the questions. If anybody has any additional ones, please let me know.
Any questions? That's good.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for that information. No questions, we'll move to the student spotlight. We have 4 students to recognize, and Betsy's moving forward to introduce those students.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Miller, and Mrs. Logan. Tonight we are recognizing 4 young women from Plains Senior School who are not only great students, but are also stellar human beings. Caitlin Crawford, Riley Mayo, Morgan Weeby, and Paige Worley volunteer to work with their fellow students who are in a specialized classroom due to their disabilities. Every day, Caitlin, Riley, Morgan, and Paige work with these students to help increase communication, gross motor, and socialization skills during their advisory period. In order to volunteer to be a part of this program at Plains, students must maintain a minimum GPA of 3.5 and have the recommendation of at least 1 teacher. I'd like to thank Mrs. Wade and Mrs. Wisniewski for sharing this program with our department. Please welcome Caitlin, Riley, Morgan, and Paige, who would like to tell you more about their efforts.
Hi, I'm Paige Worley. I'm one of the amazing 4 girls that have participated in helping these kids/individuals that do need a little more help, but to our hearts, they're amazing. Like she said, every day during advisory, we would help these kids grow in communication and by self-confidence. By meeting in self-confidence, they've been able to cope and talk more with other people. In the hallways, we've noticed since we've been helping them more often, other people have been joining in and trying to, come in and have a greater experience. We've also seen a lot more growth in communication with the kids, and we've also seen a lot more individuality, which means they've been coming out of their shell.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Crawford, and I've really enjoyed being able to come in every day for the past since beginning of 7th grade when I met a lot of them. And I personally love going in there because each day they greet you with something different to tell you, and they're always super excited. And it's really cool to watch my peers personally from my regular classes come and get to help out in there as well and talk to them and learn more about what's going on and what they can do for them. And it helps them realize that they can do more than it helps them realize that they have more opportunities than people necessarily would originally thought. And we work a lot with them, teaching them how to do different things that can help them with their everyday life skills. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Morgan Weeby, and I've been helping out volunteering since the end of 2nd quarter. And personally, I love it because being able to walk into the gym and having them run up to greet you with a smile is pretty much the highlight of my day. And it's such an easy process to become a part of something like that. I pretty much just walked into the gym one day, and I was trying to grab some of my basketball gear from my gym bag, and I saw how much fun Paige and Caitlin were having with the girls and the guys in the room, and I wanted to be a part of something like that. So I asked how to do it, and all you have to do is pretty much sign a paper and turn it in. And within the first week, I already created such a strong bond with the kids, and to the point where me and Caitlin were on the basketball team, and a lot of the students would come to our games and support us. And Paige here, she's also on the volleyball team, and a lot of the girls would come and support her too.
I'm Riley Mayo, and they've said most of everything. It was a fun experience. I've been doing it since probably the beginning of 2nd quarter, and it was fun going in there and seeing all of them smile when you walk in, run up to you, like they said. And it's just a new experience, and you learn something new every day about each other.
Has this influenced the career paths that you're considering at all?
Yeah, when I'm older, I want to be able to help out with them. Personally, I want to do something with animals, so I was hoping to maybe be able to do something that connects them a little bit. I've talked to their teachers about that. A lot of them really, last year they had a therapy dog that would come in, but like unfortunately he passed away. So when I was older, I was hoping to maybe get something so they could be more influences on their lives with animals, because I think it could benefit both of them.
My mom is actually a Lakota teacher, so I've had some of her teaching skills within me. But I love helping out with students. I'm actually starting to coach at Union Elementary for volleyball. But these kids, they're just amazing. They're so fun to be with, and they're easy to talk to also. They're just amazing people.
How about you two?
I've thought a lot about, I wanted to be a teacher since I was in kindergarten, and I didn't know what kind of teacher, but now that I've started working with them, I've kind of like wanted to become more of like a helper with them. So.
I love being able to like work with the kids. It's a great experience, and I could definitely see this like me going into this as a like profession when I get older.
Thanks for giving back.
Thank you.
How did the program get started? Did one of you start it, or was it already established? Or
Caitlin Crawford actually started around 7th grade, and when she told me about it, I just really joined right away.
I'd always forget stuff in my gym lockers. Just my fault. I'd be walking into the gym a lot during my advisory to get
I love it.
things. So
I know.
I'd walk in and they'd be playing basketball with them. They'd be playing like tag with them and having like so much fun. And I like as soon as I saw it, I was like, I want to be a part of that. And it was a really easy process to like start off with.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
service, and if you could come up, we'll take a picture with you and have something for you here. Turn around this way. I'll let you guys start passing those around while I'm walking around.
although you're all really tall. Hide behind all of it.
Yeah.
She did good. She got you all the right ones. So.
If you want to come up, you
Very good. Thank you, girls.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm the special engineer.
Thank you. I've got something
We're good.
He was experimenting.
Thank you.
I said, give me
Thank you.
It's a big crowd.
That's awesome.
That's good.
I'll just cover it if you want me to.
So administrative update, we have the school calendar next.
Yeah, and this was thanks to Mr. Vogelman's leadership with District Parent Council, came up with the rough draft of the 1819's already been approved, so 1920 calendar, which you have attached. Just consider this the first reading tonight, and we'll approve a final calendar after it's been posted on our website for 30 days. And that's a legal compliance, as long as there's no major issues. We'll ask for your approval of a formal calendar in May. And LSSA and LEA have both been provided copies to talk about it with their membership as well. Questions?
It was presented at District Parent Council. Every
Correct.
table, which had a representative from early childhood, elementary, and high school, reviewed and
10
proposed a
10
different
groups.
calendar, and then it was consolidated for the commonalities, and that's where the draft came from with
So that's
Are there any big shifts or changes
I
outside the
think
ordinary?
once again,
It's a leap.
That's massive.
once again, spring break is not around the Easter
Easter,
holiday
yep.
like it is this year because the Easter
Easter's really
holiday
late.
is late.
Like late April.
And we tried to be sensitive to other holidays, other religious holidays, so that they would not fall into reading periods or any type of exam, so that all holidays would be respected for all religions.
So,
Great.
So this will be our, if that's,
it's technically a first reading, considered a first reading, but you don't need to vote.
so.
Nope.
So this will be our first opportunity for public comment. If anyone would like to address the board, now is the first opportunity to do so, and you may approach the mic.
Agenda items? On agenda items? On agenda items, right?
To speak on agenda items only.
Yes.
Yeah. Just as a reminder.
Yes. Speak on agenda items only on public comment. So, seeing no one, we will move to board reports. We have policy committee.
We have a policy committee that was this Friday, but we will not be having that. There's no new Neola updates.
All right. Community engagement committee, we just discussed what happened in the last district parent council meeting.
It was the calendar.
We had the,
Homeschool community engagement. And it was very well attended.
45 at least.
I was going to say 45 people at least. It was a lot of people, so. And they had a lot of input, and we have one on the 19th, I believe, area pastors. Is that correct? 19th. And then that's it for the year.
We do have a subset of that would be coffee chat, which would be tomorrow at
There's
1.
one tomorrow.
Mhm.
That's right, true. I forgot. 1 and 2, Einstein's.
Yep.
Love it will come and take over.
Always a good group.
so Butler Tech.
Butler Tech will meet on April 17th, again in a regular board meeting, and we'll be having a military ceremony on April 9th.
On April what, Lynn?
April 9th.
Legislative committee.
Jenny and Matt?
One of the items I'd like to mention just really quick that just came out of Hannah today, as a matter of fact, is the report card committee is in full swing from not so much what the group that we've been working with, but on the ODE side and the state board side, taking a look. So Chris Woolard, who's part of ODE in the assessment piece and the data guy, and Paula DiMaria, the state superintendent, met with at the state school board meeting and talked about some of their concerns on performance index, how indicators met as part of the report card, K-3 literacy, and the prepared for success portions. John Richard, who's a former superintendent who I know pretty well, who's the assistant sup, talked about the main concerns he hears, and I would probably concur about the report card, is there's a desire for a simpler report card and also a more complete picture, which sounds counterintuitive when you say something simpler, but giving just a full, robust picture, not such that the dashboard approach. They did talk about Representative Duffy's initiative and how that was something that they're kicking around as well. So as we talked about before, I think it's a combination of different groups pointing out inadequacies in the report card. So stay tuned for that. The other one that I'm sure you all saw too, Richard Lewis, who is in charge, or who's the head of School Boards Association, did a piece against House Bill 512 of bringing the three groups together. One of the groups being the Ohio Department of Education, how it's sort of taking the public piece out of ODE, and thinks that is a big concern. So I just wanted to mention those two. I'm sure there are others, but those are the ones that are sort of boiling up first.
Jenny?
You have anything?
We met today, our subcommittee on special education, gifted, and ELL, and we discussed ELL specifically today, but we are getting near the time where we have to formulate recommendations. Those will be due either end of June or sometime in July. And so we're getting close to knowing what some of those recommendations look like. For example, with special education, we used to have weights associated with how those students are funded, and which was a multiplier of the base cost. So it was the base cost times this multiplier. They moved away from that a couple of budgets ago, and it's now a per pupil amount. Well, that's great as long as they move together, but what happened in this most recent budget bill is the per pupil amount increased and the special education weights per pupil amounts stayed the same. So there could be parity issues. So that will definitely be one of our recommendations, is to return back to the multiplier so that you don't get into that situation again. And then several other things, but that's one example of, we know we're close on that one. It's just interesting to see how this all is transpiring. The other thing too, I will send you all a link, because our subcommittee meetings and I believe our committee meetings now are all going to be, you can view them online with a go-to meeting. So I'll send that to you in case you would want to
Who's behind that? ODE's doing it that way, or is that just
what the go-to meetings?
Yeah.
I am not sure who is behind that. I don't know.
I think that would be great.
OSBA, we were at OSBA today, and they were actually the ones who set it up. So
Finally,
yes,
that would be good.
yes. So that's all I have.
Brad, anything? The House is House and Senate are in recess until April 9th. They have 4 sessions planned for both the House and the Senate when they come back before the longer summer session. We're hearing there's probably going to be a fast track on some bills. Certainly there's a push for House Bill 512 to be fast tracked in some sectors. And other than that, the School Safety Summit will be meeting this Thursday, and Matt and I will be attending that.
Questions? I was going through some paperwork today and just came across the legislative platform that we had received, and it talked about resolutions that school boards could do for their own platform. And I just wondered if you all had talked at all about doing a Lakota platform, or if there had been any discussion from our committee of doing a legislative platform for Lakota.
We've discussed it in the past. Certainly not this year.
Yeah, we haven't this year, but I know we've talked about it in the past. How it does make sense to do something like that.
Yeah.
Just was curious.
Can I see that? Is that just something that you received?
I figured thought everybody got it.
It came in the mail.
Did you get it?
Oh, yeah. I thought.
Boo.
I just got to it. I really did. I got
Filed
to it
it.
today. It was buried in my papers. So.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Just curious.
Thanks.
All right. Diversity Committee.
I will mention that 2 of our employees are going to the OSBA Diversity and Inclusion in the Law Summit. They are hitting, some of the topics are on a national scale and locally. The Me Too movement, treatment of immigrant students, the federal rollback of the transgender laws that they had put in place, or guidance that they had put in place, bullying. So representatives from our Lodi initiative are going to make an appearance and come back, and also workplace environment too. So it's a full day. So we're trying to stay on top of that. I did just want to mention that briefly.
Any questions about that? All right. Under Treasurer's recommendation, we have approval of board meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the board meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Jenny, please call the roll.
Mr. Parnell,
Yes.
Mr. Lovell,
Yes.
Mrs. Casper,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we have superintendent recommendations A through E. I have a motion for superintendent's recommendations A through E.
A motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
My only comment will be that, you know, we're proud of the partnerships that we have under C, for the agreements that we have for internships, and I'm hoping in short order that that list gets even longer.
So some good work over spring break.
Yep.
All right, Jenny, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Casper,
Yes.
Mr. Parnell,
Yes.
Mr. Lovell,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes. All right, now we're moving to the second opportunity for public comment without the item being required to be on the agenda. If anyone would like to make public comment, they may approach the mic at this time. All right. Seeing no one, we will move to closing comments. We'll start with Matt this time.
Just really quick, I put at your place tonight a graduation questionnaire for me, so if you could get that back to me before you leave, that would be great. Excited that we only have about 36 days of school with our kids. I think I'm pretty close. Kids would probably know that better than I would. But we are hitting the ground running and had a great fanfare this morning at Cherokee to see all the kids, and we're at Endeavor tomorrow for those that can make it.
Nothing tonight.
I enjoyed the fanfare this morning. It was my first one. So it was, you know, that pesky job gets in the way. Got to go to work to make a living. But no, it was a blast seeing the kids walk through all drenched. It was a wet morning, but really enjoyed it. I love that the district does that and celebrates the kids and the staff in the buildings.
And kudos to the staff who geared up to go
Yes.
outside to get the kids off the bus in the torrential downpour, because that is not fun.
Yeah.
I have nothing.
We have a fanfare Friday also, for Heritage.
Heritage. Thanks for the reminder.
What time is it?
Heritage is at
It's a 9:15.
9:10 one, yeah.
Yeah.
They start at 9:30, right?
And then April 22nd, we have Planting Relationships, which is in partnership with the Chamber, that will be at the Clock Tower from 2 to 4. So if anyone would like to make that event, they can add that to their calendars as well. So with that, I'd like a motion to move into executive session for the purpose to discuss details relative to the security arrangements and emergency response protocols, because disclosures of the matters discussed could reasonably be expected to jeopardize the security of the district. Do I have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Jenny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Lovell,
Yes.
Mrs. Casper,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Parnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Yes, and no votes or action will be taken after we come out of executive session. Thank you for coming.